Hi, I'm Kimberly Kayler, and I'm here today to talk to you about the role that we're seeing equity play in discussions related to sustainability. As we kickstart our discussion, I'll ask for you to just set aside any of your opinions and viewpoints on how we meet those carbon neutrality requirements that are being set for us, maybe your interest in terms of the sustainability discussion, as well as diversity, equity, inclusion as well. My role today is just to share with you some trends that we are seeing related to how equity is showing up and playing a role. So a couple definitions to get us started. With regard to sustainability, there's a really great definition that we have been using with a lot of our clients. You can see it here. I think that's a great starting place for many of us in our industry to showcase and to use with regards to sustainability, meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet the needs of their own. So maybe a great starting place for you as you start your own discussions related to sustainability as well as the communication efforts. And then in that same vein, it's important for us to talk about what we mean when we're talking and mentioning equity. This is a graphic we use quite a bit when we are discussing training, helping create journey maps related to diversity, equity, inclusion topics. And equity is defined as fairness and how it exists in systems and structure. So again, the little touch point in terms of where we're seeing equity show up and play with regards to sustainability. So what are the factors and trends that are driving this discussion? Well, one of them is employees, potentials, and consumers in general. There is quite a bit of growth with regards to viewpoints from the millennial generation, as well as other generations. I don't want to single millennials out completely with regards to how they view and make choices related to products, the organizations that they have relationships with, and their viewpoints related to sustainability, as well as the diversity, equity, inclusion topic. The other thing that's important to understand is that consumers, for the first time, really feel that they have a choice and have the ability to let an organization know how they actually make decisions related to sustainability, related to equity and fairness activities. So keep that in mind. A lot of that has to do with the internet and how fast information is shared, but the consumers, the world around us, really feel that they have a choice in terms of how they can pressure organizations. That doesn't mean that that should be your guidepost, but just being aware that there are those factors out there. The other thing is the awareness of the ramping up of different requirements for information. So we're seeing diversity, equity, inclusion pop up quite a bit in requests for proposals for engineering, architecture, construction projects. We've heard of stories of healthcare organizations saying, hey, if you don't have a DEI statement, don't even bother submitting your qualifications. You need to have one. Same is popping up with regards to sustainability as well. And we're seeing more often than not that equity piece show up under sustainability. And I'll fill you in a little bit more about that. Other things that are driving all of this, environmental product declarations. So if you think about that nutrition label that we're used to on food, we're seeing that same type of concept pop up more and more with regards to the environmental products that we're using. So departments of transportation, for example, in many states are requiring EPDs to come along with that project proposal. Then the other thing is the discussion related to ESG, environmental, social, and governance, and those factors. Publicly traded companies have long had to report on these factors, but we're seeing it more and more common that organizations, whether publicly traded or not, are asked to actually share their activities related to these three key factors. Wanted to give you a couple of other touch points that we're seeing in the industry. Everyone from the Federal Highway Administration, sharing information with their declaration April 22nd about quantifying emissions of sustainable pavements. And then the United States Department of Transportation, their strategic plan. And I love the graphic that they have here. You can see here safety, which has obviously been a hallmark of success and a hallmark of programs from the US DOT for a long time. But you see the climate and sustainability as part of the graphic they're using, as well as equity as part of their strategic goals. So again, seeing all of these different touch points come together. So different solutions and resources that are in our industry, and there's many. This is by no means an inclusive list at all, but the Portland Cement Association for our industry has launched a roadmap, the Roadmap to Carbon Neutrality. It's a great resource available from PCA, a lot of different studies, graphics, information that you can use that can help build out your program. Another great resource is new. So the Center for Carbon Neutral Concrete. This is a organization recently started and stood up by the American Concrete Institute. And we've got a lot of really big names that are joining that organization. It will really serve as a clearinghouse throughout the industry for all things carbon neutral. Other things, Carbon Disclosure Project, Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, and then there's many private solutions as well. Carbon Cure comes to mind. I have that listed here as an example. They recently entered a 10-year, $30 million carbon credit purchase agreement. So lots of really great examples of organizations out there that are creating resources and launching efforts to really help navigate these discussions. The other thing that is rolled into this again is diversity, equity, inclusion. So the 3 E's that we're seeing pop up, environment, economy, and equity, all form that whole sustainability discussion. So how does the equity piece really fit into our industry? Well, some examples that may be easy to get your head around, especially from like the transportation sector, would be urban heat island effect, or people who live in cities are generally more economically disadvantaged. So how we design our cities, how we design our roadways, are we actually dividing up communities? So all of these things really go towards the equity piece. A lot of studies have been done on this topic, and it does fit into the environmental standpoint as well as the economic and the equity piece of things. And I wanted to share an example here. So this is a webinar that was hosted by the American Concrete Pipe Association with cooperation with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation earlier this summer. And you can see here in the language that I copied below from the advertisement, the webinar focuses on resiliency and sustainability. And that last sentence, meeting the challenges involving climate change, equity, infrastructure, resiliency, and safety. So again, all of these factors are coming together in our communication efforts and the things that we are talking about. So what else is rolled up into all of this? Well, with that equity piece, with that diversity, equity, inclusion piece, and sustainability, we have culture, employee health and wellness, the governance, which we talked about as part of that ESG, code of ethics, risk management, safety, labor, and human rights. So a lot of factors rolled up into things in terms of actually moving ahead. So why I'm here today is just to make you aware of how we are seeing all of these factors come together, and then remind you that AOE is here to be a resource to you. We are currently working on a lot of ESG plans for companies, as well as a lot of sustainability and diversity, equity, inclusion programs and plans, as well as communication statements. So if you are being asked to respond with your sustainability platform, your communication piece, maybe ask questions and a proposal related to how does equity fit into your sustainability initiatives, contact us today. We're happy to help, and we do have the experience and the training to actually guide you through this discussion. That is it. Visit our website, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.